You could invest in past due
Light
bills?
bills. Yeah, utility liens. That's what they're called.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, so these are utility liens. So you get a percentage and you help buy that person time to keep their lights on, and the county gives you some kind of interest in exchange. Why
Okay.
is that good?
And what if the person never pays off their bill?
Then what the county does, they give you your monies regardless, especially in the case of a past due delinquent property tax. What the county does is say, hey, there's a thing called redemption period. The redemption period is the amount of time a person has to go past due in paying their delinquent property tax. So let's say we're in New Jersey. New Jersey gives you a 2-year redemption period. New Jersey gives you 2 years to not pay your taxes before they solicit the sale of your debt to an investor. You can be an investor, anyone can be an investor. Why is this important? Well, they don't deal with mortgage, the county. They deal with property taxes, because property taxes are allocated into millages that accommodate for school resources in the form of books, or even paying for teachers, or paying for the light in the school. Property taxes keep the roads smooth or the highways smooth. Property taxes pay the firemen and pay the policemen and pay the nurses and the doctors. So therefore, whenever you see a lot of foreclosures taking place in a community, you see there's a correspondence between the foreclosures or people's inability to pay their property taxes and potholes in dark street areas and overcrowded classrooms, because that's what property taxes are used for. So for that reason, these property taxes maintain the infrastructure or upkeep of a community per the county government. So what the county government does is say, hey, we have a no risk investment for you. You can purchase someone's past due delinquent property tax after the redemption period. That's the time where it expires for a person to go delinquent before they can solicit the sale of that debt. In the event that person still doesn't pay, we'll give you the late fees, penalties, and surcharges should a person pay. Now you may say, then what do they do? Well, here's the thing. If you're the bank and you sold someone a house for $100,000, and that person in 2 years, let's say we're in New Jersey redemption period, in 2 years that person doesn't pay their property taxes, so the county solicits the debt in the form of a tax lien, okay, which is an encumbrance. So then I'm the owner, I don't pay the delinquent property tax. You're the bank, you sold me the $100,000 property. The county says, hey, we're going to give the investor the property if the tax isn't paid. Well, you know what the bank most likely is going to do? The bank is going to say, hold up, I sold him this property for $100,000. You're about to give him the whole property for what, $6,000? I'll step in. What the county does is say, because we anticipate the bank stepping in, we'll also give you the late fees, penalties, and surcharges. Why? Because they want to allure people into the investing of past due delinquent property taxes. So what they do, they give the investor not only 20% that of what they invested in, but they'll give you late fees, penalties, and surcharges. And if that doesn't happen and the bank doesn't step in, which most likely they will, if they don't step in and the owner of the property, so to speak, doesn't step in, then the county issues a tax deed after the tax lien hasn't been bought, and they give you the property for the amount equal due and back taxes. Now, where this comes in is when you invest in a lien, if you're interested in potentially getting the property, you make sure you get a first priority lien. You make sure you're the first person that pays for the first lien that corresponds with that property. So you have the right to choose if you want the property in the event no one redeems. There's always no risk. Then you make sure you're investing in a property that in the event you get the option to keep it, you say, I like my odds of selling it back or keeping it myself. Why you do this or how you do this, you then check out your local county surveyor. Why? You want to see what the building plans are in that community 3-5 years out, 10 years out. They might be building a mall or something over there. Revenue could go up. You want to check the comps, and comps are properties that are fairly similar to the one that you're already invested in. And you want to check out the average of how people move in and out of those comps, amongst other things. You want to make sure that the property's in a highly reputable school district. It's easier to sell a property in a highly reputable school district. Low crime rate. Check out the tax equalization ratios. And most times you want to invest in a single family household because they sell the quickest. So by the time you invest in the tax lien, you already have your deck stacked, so to speak. You say to yourself, well, you know what? I'm either going to get the 20% plus late fees, penalties, and surcharges, or I'm going to get the property not based on its assets value or fair market value. I'm going to get it for the amount equal due and back taxes, which gives me a property for probably worth $100,000 for probably $8,000.
Okay.
You see, so
I'm
these
gonna
are
look into
options.
this. All right, I'm going to look into this.
These are options, and it totally exists. And people say, how come most people don't know about these things? And that's because from the time you have pre-K, pre-kindergarten to 12th grade, that's 14 years of schooling. And they're supposed to prepare you for life, food, clothing, and shelter. But no one knows how to sew when they leave. No one knows how to cook when they go, graduate. And definitely there was no real estate classes for 14 years.
No one knows how to do taxes. No one knows about credit cards.
You know, no classes.
No one knows about mortgages. You pretty much are taught none of the important stuff.
And then look at the word mortgage in itself. Etymologically, the word mortgage is mort gauge. Mort means death, and gauge means pledge. It's a pledge until you die. And
Pledge until you die.
Why is it a pledge until you die? Well, we look at our mortality rate or our lifetime expectancy. Most of us are slated to die around 71, 72 years old when we are in lower income communities. Absolute facts, and even younger. So most people actually get into houses around the age of 33, 35 when they really start slowing down.
Right.
So you get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage.
Right. You pay it off
You're paid off when you're about to die. So it's a pledge until you die. And then they hypothecate the mortgages, which is when they sell properties under a condition. And we learn in UCC code law, Uniform Commercial Code, UCC 9-105 in parentheses D, that a debtor can only conditionally own property. So we know that most times they sell these properties not under the pretense we're a secure party, because they're the secure party or they're the creditor in that instance. We're actually the debtor until we say otherwise. So that's the presumption of law. They can kind of do something illegal unless you call in an action that says this is illegal, because a lack of an admission is a lack of response is an admission of guilt, so to speak, or compliance in many instances. So they can get away with selling you something under a legal pretense if you don't correct them on it. So now they sell you a property under condition. The condition is, hey, we have some people investing in your debt without you knowing. That's a condition because you didn't know that took place. That's against the law. It's a conditional interest. So now, because they're going to sell the mortgage note and you're not going to know. You thinking they got it, and the whole time that note that went around so many different times. So
right. I mean, the whole housing crisis happened around stuff like that.
Of course, the subprimes where they
right,
know
the subprime loan, where basically what they started doing is they started selling mortgages, and what they would do is people didn't want to buy individual mortgages; they'd buy groups of mortgages, and they would group them together. And let's say they would take 10 mortgages, and 9 of them is someone with great credit, a lot of income. They're definitely going to keep paying, and so forth. They'll throw a turkey in there. Someone that clearly is going to default on this loan.
That's a fact.
And they average the number out, and it looks like, oh, it's 90%. When in fact it's a whole bunch of hundreds and like a zero.
That's a fact.
And then when the person defaults, it tears down all the profit you could have made off that entire batch.
And that's why that mortgage is being hypothecated so it could be sold in investment baskets like hedge funds, even overseas. And hypothecation means to bury or to put beneath. So you have mortgage hypothecation. So you have the death pledge or the pledge till you die. And then you have the burial, which is the mortgage hypothecation. And then foreclosure means to shoo away or to cast away or cast out. And that's because of your death. Because once you get into that death pledge and then they bury you with the hypothecation, now they have to get rid of the ghost in the form of a foreclosure or summons the ghost to court to appear. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
This is all etymology. This ain't even.
No, listen.
And it's still spirituality, because remember, spirituality is property or revenue generated by the church. So this is all their spiritual gain.